All right, we are recording. Thank you very much, Stephen, for joining us. I absolutely appreciate you being here.
My
Stephen and
pleasure.
I have been, we met each other in a financial coaches group where we both were learning new things and getting out and getting started with our career. And so I wanted to do this meeting with him so we can all talk to you guys and tell you guys what it is that we do and how we can help empower and lift you guys up in your financial journey. I will do a quick introduction with us real quick, but then I also want to open up the floor. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to pop in the chat, ask them about it. You do not need your videos on, and just enjoy this. I would love to talk to you guys. So please pitch in and ask any questions you have. So my name is Shawntae. I am the owner of Empowered You Financial Coaching, and I specialize in empowering women to get out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle, which reduces their stress and helps them to free up their finances for all of their financial dreams. Superpower those finances. Our finances are our number one wealth building asset. So when those are tied up in debt and um, payments and everything like that, we just can't live like we should. We can't build wealth like we should. We can't buy those assets and go on those vacations that we want to do. And I really want us all to enjoy that. So, Stephen, would you please take a moment and introduce yourself?
Hey, thanks. My name is Stephen Kelling. I am the owner of Thrive Financial Coaching, and my specialty is helping people get ready to buy a home. It's helping them pay off their debt so that they can save a down payment and get the home they love. Just so many people don't realize, like the vast majority of people can really afford a home. It's that you can't afford a home because you're spending it on lattes and fast food. And I just help people realize where their money is going so they can achieve their dreams.
Absolutely. That's amazing. I have, when my husband and I tell the story all the time, when my husband and I first bought our home, we thought it was absolutely impossible. We had no idea how we were going to not only fix our credit, but save a down payment that was bigger than we'd ever saved in our lifetimes and afford a house when we had a really cheap rent. We weren't sure how we were going to do it, but once we got a budget together and we got serious and we prioritized our spending to what our actual goals were, we were able to buy that house. And it's one of the biggest blessings to have our children in a home that we own and that's
Yes.
theirs forever. So
I
there's so many
love
people that
love hearing those stories. So
absolutely.
maybe before we go further, what is so a lot of people that are watching may not even know what a financial coach is, right? Because as a financial coach, it's not a really common job, and I get asked on a pretty regular basis. So, are you a financial advisor? Are you selling insurance or mutual funds? And I just get to smile and say, nope, don't do any of that. We help people with money management, with being financially disciplined. So, Shawntae, maybe just start off with what exactly can you describe what a financial coach does?
So first off, we should probably state the biggest difference between a financial coach and a financial advisor. So financial advisors are the ones that help with investments. There
Yes.
are financial consultants that will help out with life insurance and things like that. But a financial coach, they specialize in getting the budget, getting the savings, getting the debt payoff, and really learning where your money's going. So then you could prioritize it for your wealth building and for your asset acquirement. And then you can go talk to a financial advisor for all those investment options. So we don't do any of the investments. We get you started to where you can eventually buy those investments.
So then maybe talk a little more about the. I know we've talked before about how that's the what of what coaches do, but what about the why? What about, because there's a lot of psychology underneath all of this money talk, and can you talk a little bit about that?
So for me, I would say the biggest reason why I do this is because I have lived in financial stress. I have lived that paycheck to paycheck. I have lived that I don't know if I can pay my phone bill, so I have to hold it off for a couple of weeks. I don't know if I have gas money or grocery money. I've lived that. I've been through it, as I was saying earlier to you, Stephen, that we had when we were buying our house, we had no idea how we were going to make it work. And it was because we were making average income and we were doing what the average American does, which is just blow the money here and there. Before you even get the next paycheck, you know, oh, I've got $200 in the bank. Okay, I'm going to go blow that and then go get some fast food or going out to dinner, instead of actually using that to build our future, build our home, build all our finances. So for me, that's why I do it, is because I don't want people living in financial stress. I want people to realize that it is possible at every single income level to prioritize your spending, know where it's going, and follow those financial dreams.
Okay, so you're talking about kind of helping people to do that, right? We're talking about superpowering your finances. It sounds like a lot of what you're talking about is a little bit of okay, stop sticking your head in the sand financially. Stop pretending this problem doesn't exist. You've got to face your fears. You have to face the problem and deal with it head on. So as you've been working with people, what are some of the things that help people do that? Because, like, let's be honest, like it's scary. It's people know it's a mess, and I don't want to deal with the mess, but I know I need to. So what are some strategies that you use to really help people with that?
So I would say you have to have people, you hear this all the time. What is your why? Why do you want to fix your finances? Um,
Yes.
for a lot of people, let's say families, because I work with a lot of women and families in their 20s, 30s, and everything like that, as they're getting started with their families. So a lot of times for my clients, what it is their children are a huge why. They want to make sure that their children do not follow in their financial footsteps, and that their children learn the correct way to manage things, so they don't end up going down the black hole of credit card debt and loans and everything like that, like they did. So you have to think about, what is your why? Why do you want to fix your finances? Is it because you don't want the kids to follow along? Is it because you're facing bankruptcy, because you have no idea how to get underneath this pile of stress and finances that you have been dealing with? Is it because you want to buy a house? Is it because you want to make sure that when you're older, you can retire comfortably and not at 90 years old when you may or may not have much life left? You know, you want to be able to live your life and not just work a 9 to 5. And if you don't get your head out of the dirt and take a step to fix your finances, that's exactly where you're going to be for the rest of your life. And it's scary, but if you have a big enough why, you will make time to figure out how to fix the issue and not just
Yeah.
hide from it, because hiding
Yeah.
isn't going to solve anything, right?
That's absolutely right. I like to tell people that your goals are your fuel, that really fuels your change and gives you that motivation to change. So I know we want to
Absolutely.
open it up for questions, but before we do that, just real quick, before we open it up for questions, just want to, I know you specialize in women's finances, right? In empowering them to take control of their finances. So specifically for you, as you're working with women, what are some financial issues that affect women in a really different way than guys?
Oh, this is a huge topic here. So I recently did a video series of 5 things that affect women financially, either more than it affects men or differently than it affects men. Let's see if I can remember off the top of my head those 5 things. I know the first one was the gender pay gap. And the main reason for that is that women in general, the statistic is that 80% of women never ask for a pay raise or never negotiate a
Wow.
pay raise. Isn't that
Wow.
an amazing statistic? Like, I
I've
wouldn't have thought.
never heard that before.
Exactly. I knew it wasn't as common for women, but I didn't know 80%. That was just a mind-blowing thing to me. The other one, what number 2 was, the amount of time we spend in the work field is generally a lot less than what men spend in the work field. And it's because we're generally the caretakers.
Yeah.
So it starts off caring for our children. So we may go down to part-time. And then as we get a little bit older, caring for our parents, especially if you're the oldest daughter or an only child.
Mhm.
And then as we get older, we tend to retire early because we are wanting to spend time with our usually older spouses who have already retired. And
Or
then,
grandbaby bait.
or grandbaby. There you go, grandbaby. You want to spend time with those grandbabies. Another one was divorce. Um, let's see if I can remember the statistic. It was on average, women lose 30% of their income when they go through a divorce, whereas
Wow.
men gain 20% when they go through a divorce.
Really?
So financially, women are hit so much harder with divorce because of the pay gap, the amount of time in the work field, plus losing that spouse's income.
Hmm.
Another one was financial confidence, because a lot of us as women, we are raised um, to be the caretakers, not the breadwinners. So our parents don't talk to us in general. This is a general thing about working hard and getting these degrees and maintaining these jobs and doing investments. That's not what women are talked to about.
Yeah.
Whereas men, and you can agree or disagree with this one, the fathers usually talk to them about being the breadwinners, about caring for the family, about protecting assets and everything like that. So there's a lack of confidence in women because we aren't raised with this knowledge, or
Yeah.
raised with the thought that we can be the breadwinners and we can be the caretakers at the same time. And then I think that was 4 of them. I'm trying to
I
think
think
of the
you also
5th
said that
one.
women live longer, right? They have a longer life
There you
expectancy.
go. Why do you know more about my stuff than I do? You must have watched it recently. Thank you for the memory boost. Yes. And I'm freezing on that again. Say what that last part that you said again.
I think you said that women have a longer life expectancy, right?
Yes.
And it's so
Life
because they have a longer
expectancy.
life expectancy, like they have to manage their money longer.
Yes. Okay. So with the gender pay gap and the caregiving time in outside of the work field and having the longer life expectancy, we tend to retire early, which means the Social Security benefits are less because we don't always retire at, I think the full, I don't quote me on this one. I think the full Social Security benefit is at like 70, I want to say, or something like that. Whereas women tend to retire a lot earlier for the caregiving responsibilities and everything like that. So when you have less money in retirement and your husband tends to die before you do because of life expectancy, and men are generally older in the relationship, the finances usually are there for the husband before he passes, but as you get older, you start running out of retirement benefits and 401ks and all of those things if
Yeah.
you have not prepared for those things well. So, yeah, thank you for bringing that up because I completely phased on that one and I appreciate your support. So, is there anyone, that has any questions? Let me look at the chat. There's nothing in the chat. So let's see, does anybody have any specific questions? We've got a couple participants. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I will wait a moment for you to do that. And in the meantime, Stephen, you want to tell us maybe one of the debt payoff methods and why you like it or what you don't like about it?
I think for me, one of my favorite methods is the really classic just debt snowball, and made popular by Dave Ramsey. I'm sure it was around before him, but he's been teaching it for at least 30 years. And that is basically you arrange your debts from smallest to largest and pay them off in that order, regardless of interest rate. And the benefit that, again, it's psychology, right? You start paying off those little ones really quickly and it's like, yes, I got this, right? It's that psychological boost of I can do this. So I use that method with my clients. I usually do modify it just a little bit. Again, it's psychology. It's how we're wired, how we were created. If there is something that is just a client really hates this one particular debt, maybe it reminds them of past relationship, it reminds them of a failure, or it just reminds them of like something they did that was really stupid, and they're like, I've got to get rid of this one. Yes, let's pay that one off first, even if it's not the smallest. So you don't have to do exactly that, but figuring out a way that can really help you be successful financially and get that boost of what you already said, that confidence of I can do this. I'm actually I'm making some progress here. So
Absolutely. So you kind of mentioned what I call the third option for debt payoff. So the three most common options for debt payoff is a snowball method, which you mentioned. You pay the debts from the smallest amount owed to the largest amount owed, no matter what the interest rate is. The avalanche method is where you pay based off of the highest interest rate, and then you go down to the lowest interest rate. It tends to save you a lot more money to do it that way. But psychologically, like you said with the snowball method, it's not always the best option. Now, what you mentioned is what I call the vengeance method. What is one debt
I
that
like
makes
that.
you want to rip out your hair and say, I need this off of my mind? And so for me, I use a lot of that vengeance method. I look at the debt and say, okay, which one makes me the most annoyed, whether it's from an ex or a bad decision or whatever it was. And then I pay off that one first. And I kind of did that method when it came to my car because I had a very bad issue with a car. And I got a second car without negotiating. And my grandfather would smack me on the hand for that because always negotiate your car. And I knew about that, but I was so emotionally into it that I got the car, didn't negotiate anything, and I got taken for it. So when I saw that debt, I was like, I have got to get rid of this thing because every time I pay this debt, it reminds me, shame on me, I did not listen to my grandfather.
Awesome.
So we
Okay,
do
so we
have
got
a
a
question that
question.
popped up.
Yep, question
Yeah.
from Danielle. What is one piece of advice that would have changed your life if you knew it earlier?
Oh, one piece. Um, I would say probably invest early. Start small and invest early. It doesn't matter if you can only invest $20 a paycheck. Open up, if you have earned income, open up a Roth IRA and
Mm.
start investing $20 a paycheck. Um, I don't have the statistics in front of me, but you mentioned Dave Ramsey, and I've heard him mention before. I don't remember the exact number, but if you start investing at 16 when you get your first job, you can do a custodial Roth IRA um, with your parents if you have earned income. And if you do, I think it was like
25 a month, I think.
45 a month.
25.
Oh, 25 a month, you'd be a millionaire by the
Mhm.
time you retire.
Yep.
And can you imagine that? It doesn't matter if you bring in 15 bucks an hour. If you're putting in $25 a month, by the time you're 60, from 18 to 60, you've got over $1 million in there. So being a retirement millionaire has nothing to do with how much money you make. It has to do with how much time you spend investing it in the right tools. So investing early is probably the number one. I would say the number two, just because I have to mention it, is make sure you know what you're going to college for and how much you're going to spend on it, because college is ridiculously expensive. And I know too many people who went to college um, and just signed that paperwork without realizing how much they were getting into debt for it. And they they did the career, but then they probably grew out of it by their mid 20s or 30s because they're like, hey, I've spent a lot of time in this. And that probably wasn't the best decision. That was a
I
lot of
heard
money.
somebody say college is a business decision. Look at college as a business decision. What return on your investment are you going to get with college? And that really clarifies a lot of, well, I want to do this. Okay, that's great. Business decision. How is that going to work out long term?
Yes. Are you going to
So
spend $50,000 on a degree that's going to earn you
$5,000 a year.
$40,000 a year or something like that, or $100,000? Like how much debt people are going into because of college. I am not anti-college. I went to college. I have a degree, but I should have made better decisions in where I went to college,
Yeah.
and that's where I messed up. So I want to offer question one more time if there's anybody else that has any questions before we leave. And Cheryl, don't worry about not having your mic on. We purposely muted that for the participants. So that is not your computer. That is us muting it so you guys don't have to be on camera. So any other questions?
I want to put something in real quick. I want to answer Danielle's question because the one piece of advice that would have changed my life earlier, and this is for me part of my story of why I'm a coach, and that is that I started learning. I learned almost nothing about money growing up. Started learning from Ramsey in college, and got to the point where I knew it, but I didn't do it. I knew enough to not get a ton of debt, but I did not start investing. I did not stay financially focused. I did not get financially healthy like I should have. And I desperately wish that someone had done for me what I get to do, what you get to do for others, is hold people accountable and help them stay focused. I wish I had hired a financial coach 20 years ago. If I did, I would have been a millionaire right now. But I'm not, and I'm just getting started in investing. So please, if you, especially if you are young, find the money, skip the lattes, hire a coach, reach out to Shawntae and hire her. She will help you. She will transform your life. And I just hope that you will listen to that advice. Find somebody to help you stay focused. That radically would have transformed my life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hiring a coach is that's a tough decision because that's you saying, I need help in this. So not only do you have to admit that you have a problem, but that you need help doing it, but it could be one of the best financial decisions you make. If I had hired a coach when my husband and I were trying to buy our house, or when we were going through fertility treatments and having to pay cash for all of those fertility treatments, we probably could have done it a whole lot faster. And I consider myself quite money savvy. So it's it's an investment, but it is so worth it. And definitely reach out, at least ask questions, see if a coach can help you, even if it's not me. Ask questions and find somebody who resonates in your soul as somebody who can really help you out. Thank you very much for joining me, Stephen. We are 22 minutes
My
into this,
pleasure.
so let's go ahead and finish it. Anybody who is in here, feel free to reach out to me or Stephen. If you are a part of his friends list, feel free to reach out to him with any questions. If you're part of my list and you want to talk to him or I, message me. We would love to talk to you guys. And thank you all for all of this, and have a blessed day. Thank you very much for joining me, Stephen. And thank you for the participants.
Have a great day.
Goodbye.